As the global motorcycle industry was deeply asleep, 20 Honda engineers were building a ruthless mechanical assassin. In just 6 impossible months, they forged a machine that completely and utterly destroyed the British Empire and forced Kawasaki, Yamaha, and Suzuki into a state of blind panic. It featured technology that defied all logic. Do not even dare to blink. This is the shocking, untold story of the legendary Honda CB750. Let us immediately begin. The British monopoly. To truly understand the violent, catastrophic impact of the Honda CB750, you must understand the dark, primitive ages of global motorcycling. In the 60s, if you wanted to ride aggressively fast in the United States or Europe, you had incredibly limited, highly flawed options. The high-performance market was completely and totally dominated by the British. Historic brands like Triumph, Norton, and BSA ruled the sweeping canyons and the professional racetracks. They built heavy, parallel twin engines that were undeniably fast and culturally iconic. These were the machines ridden by Hollywood legends like Steve McQueen and Marlon Brando. But these British machines hit a massive, critical mechanical vulnerability that the Japanese were secretly studying. The British engines utilized vertically split crankcases. This primitive engineering design meant the engine cases bolted together right down the center of the oil sump. Because metal expands and contracts under extreme engine heat, these vertically split cases essentially leaked oil naturally and unavoidably. Furthermore, they utilized electrical components manufactured by Lucas Electrics, a company so notoriously unreliable that mechanics globally referred to them as the Prince of Darkness. British motorcycles vibrated so violently at highway speeds that glass headlights would literally shatter in their housings. Heavy engine mounting bolts would physically back themselves out of the steel frame, and riders would lose all feeling in their hands after just 30 minutes in the saddle. Mechanics joked that you never had to actually change the engine oil on a British twin, you just had to keep refilling it every time you parked. On the other side of the spectrum, Harley-Davidson offered massive, rumbling V-twins, but they were incredibly heavy, sluggish, and catered entirely to the laid-back cruising demographic rather than the aggressive, high-performance road racing crowd. Meanwhile, Honda was universally known as a friendly and approachable company. They had successfully mobilized the developing world with the tiny, indestructible 50cc Super Cub. They produced reliable, lightweight commuter bikes like the CB750 twin. The British motorcycle executives arrogantly dismissed Honda, and they openly stated in magazines that the Japanese could build cheap, disposable scooters for delivery boys. But they totally lacked the engineering pedigree, the passion, and the mechanical soul to ever build a true, high-displacement, heavyweight superbike capable of conquering the American highway. That blind, stupid arrogance was their fatal, industry-ending mistake. In 1967, the American National Service Manager for Honda, a brilliant, fiercely competitive, and demanding man named Bob Hansen, traveled to Japan. He sat down in a quiet boardroom with Soichiro Honda himself. Hansen did not offer compliments. He delivered a brutal, non-negotiable ultimatum. He told Mr. Honda that the incredibly lucrative American market demanded a king of motorcycles. He stated clearly that if Honda wanted to be taken seriously on the aggressive global stage, they could not rely on small displacement commuters and step-through scooters forever. They needed a massive, imposing, hyper-performance machine that would completely shatter the established order and strike fear into the hearts of the Europeans. Soichiro Honda listened intently. He despised losing. He immediately authorized a highly classified research and development project, known internally within the factory as Project 300. He bypassed the massive corporate bureaucracy and assembled a tiny, elite, highly secretive team of just 20 engineers, led by the legendary Yoshiro Harada. He gave this small team an impossible, unheard-of deadline. They had exactly 6 months to design, engineer, prototype, and perfect the most advanced, reliable, and powerful consumer motorcycle the world had ever seen. Failure was not an option. If you think building an engine in 6 months is insane, wait until you hear the specific technology they stole from their Grand Prix racing program to make it happen. Do not look away. Project 300 and the engineering miracle. The 20 engineers locked themselves in the secret Honda laboratory. They knew a traditional vibrating twin-cylinder engine would not be enough to crush the mighty British Empire. They needed total, overwhelming mechanical superiority. They needed a technological moat so deep that the competition would drown trying to cross it. They looked directly at Honda's legendary multi-cylinder Grand Prix racing motorcycles. The exotic 5-cylinder and 6-cylinder machines that had absolutely dominated the grueling Isle of Man TT races in the early 1960s. They made a radical, industry-shaking decision. They decided to bring exotic racing exclusivity directly to the public consumer market. They engineered a transverse inline-four engine. Let me put this engineering feat in perspective. In 1968, putting an inline-four engine into a mass-produced, affordable consumer motorcycle was considered pure engineering lunacy. It was universally deemed too wide, too highly complex, too heavy, and far too expensive to ever manufacture profitably on an assembly line. Engineers worried that the middle two cylinders of an air-cooled inline-four would massively overheat and seize, because the outer cylinders blocked the incoming cooling wind. But the Honda engineers defied all logic. They designed specialized, deep cooling fins to channel maximum air directly to the center block. They successfully built a 736cc air-cooled inline-four with a single overhead camshaft. The shocking tech specs were utterly terrifying to the European competition. It produced an unheard of 67 horsepower. It revved to an astronomical 8,500 RPM redline, singing a mechanical song that street riders had never heard before. It was capable of effortlessly pushing a rider well past 120 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest motorized vehicles on the public road, matching the top speeds of highly expensive exotic European sports cars of the era. But the raw horsepower was only half of the story. The mechanical refinement was the true weapon that destroyed the British. Because it was an inline-four with 4 perfectly balanced pistons counteracting each other's inertial mass, it produced almost zero vibration. A rider could cruise the interstate at 100 miles per hour, and the rear-view mirrors would remain crystal clear, utterly devoid of the violent shaking that plagued the Norton and Triumph machines. Furthermore, it did not leak a single drop of engine oil onto the garage floor. The Honda engineering team completely abandoned the flawed British vertically split engine cases. They utilized a horizontally split crankcase design. This meant the engine block was bolted together horizontally, providing a massive, highly rigid, perfectly sealed platform that refused to flex or leak under extreme thermal stress. To ensure the engine sat low in the frame for superior handling, they utilized a dry sump lubrication system, removing the deep oil pan from the bottom of the engine and storing the vital engine oil in a separate external tank hidden behind the side covers. They also gave it a feature that felt like science fiction in the 60s, an electric start button that actually worked every single time you pressed it with your thumb. British bikes required exhausting, dangerous, and physically demanding manual kickstarting. If a high-compression British twin kicked back, it could easily snap a rider's shin bone. On the new Honda CB750, you simply turned the key, pushed a tiny button, and the massive engine roared to life with zero physical effort. To maximize the visual and auditory impact of this mechanical marvel, Honda equipped the machine with 4 individual Keihin carburetors, ensuring massive, instant fuel delivery to every single cylinder. They routed the exhaust through 4 sweeping, brilliantly chrome-plated exhaust pipes. When parked on the street, the massive aluminum engine block and the 4 gleaming exhaust pipes looked like a mechanical symphony. When accelerating hard, it sounded exactly like an exotic Grand Prix race car, echoing off the canyon walls. The engine was a masterpiece, but the engine alone did not change the industry. The CB750 introduced a piece of safety technology that made every other motorcycle on Earth obsolete overnight. The critical secret is in the front wheel, the hydraulic disc brake revolution. Before 1969, every single motorcycle on the global consumer market utilized primitive drum brakes on both the front and rear wheels. Drum brakes were outdated, heavy, and incredibly dangerous at high velocities. They relied on mechanical steel cables that physically stretched under tension. When you applied heavy, emergency braking force from 100 miles per hour, the incredible friction would rapidly heat the internal cast iron drum. Because metal physically expands when subjected to extreme heat, the outer brake drum would literally expand and pull away from the internal brake shoes. This caused a terrifying, potentially fatal condition known as brake fade. You would squeeze the brake lever with all of your physical strength, your knuckles turning white, and the motorcycle simply would not slow down. Soichiro Honda knew that if he built a heavy, powerful motorcycle capable of exceeding 120 miles per hour on the public highway, he absolutely needed a modern, foolproof way to stop it safely. He visited the secret engineering department and issued a non-negotiable demand. They must install a hydraulic disc brake on the front wheel of the new CB750. The elite engineering team panicked. They pushed back against their boss. They told Mr. Honda that disc brake technology was strictly, exclusively reserved for elite military aircraft and impossibly expensive, exotic sports cars like Ferrari and Porsche. They argued that bringing a complex hydraulic system to an affordable, mass-produced consumer motorcycle was impossible, untested, and would prove financially ruinous for the company. Soichiro Honda flatly refused to listen to their excuses. He mandated the disc brake. He demanded that they partner with the braking experts at Nissan to scale the technology down for a motorcycle front fork. When the CB750 launched, the front wheel featured a massive, fully exposed, gleaming stainless steel rotor gripped by a powerful single-piston hydraulic caliper. Instead of a stretching steel cable, it utilized a sealed master cylinder pushing incompressible hydraulic brake fluid through heavy-duty rubber lines. It was the first mass-produced consumer motorcycle in human history to feature a standard hydraulic disc brake. The engineering genius of the disc brake solved the fatal heat issue perfectly. When a disc brake rotor becomes incredibly hot under extreme friction, the steel rotor expands outward, literally expanding into the brake pads. Instead of losing stopping power like a drum brake, a hot disc brake actually maintains or increases its aggressive bite. The impact on the street was immediate, undeniable, and total. The hydraulic disc brake provided consistent, fade-free, linear, two-finger stopping power that completely revolutionized rider safety forever. A rider on a Honda CB750 could brake later, squeeze harder, and stop significantly shorter and safer than any British or American motorcycle on the road. The European manufacturers looked at this advanced front wheel in shock, paralyzing horror. Their heavy drum brake-equipped machines suddenly looked like dangerous, outdated, primitive antiques. Are you starting to see how Honda dismantled the industry piece by piece? Drop a comment below if you have ever ridden a classic inline-four. And if you demand the ruthless, unedited truth about automotive history, smash that subscribe button right now. Let us witness the panic, the price tag that broke the world. Honda had built the ultimate, undeniable machine, and they possessed the impossibly smooth four-cylinder engine. They possessed the flawless electric start. They possessed the revolutionary, life-saving hydraulic disc brake. The entire global automotive industry held its collective breath, waiting for Honda executives to announce the official retail price. Everyone from journalists to competing factory presidents logically assumed that a machine featuring literal Grand Prix racing technology, four carburetors, and aerospace-grade braking would be astronomically expensive, reserved strictly for wealthy elite riders and professional racers. In late 1968, at the highly anticipated Tokyo Motor Show and subsequently at the legendary American dealership meeting in Las Vegas in early 1969, Honda officially announced the manufacturer's suggested retail price. It cost exactly $1,495. The global motorcycle industry collectively gasped. The price was mathematically impossible. It was significantly cheaper than the sluggish, oil-leaking, vibrating British parallel twins that offered exactly half the performance, half the cylinders, and zero modern safety technology. Honda achieved this miraculous price point through unmatched manufacturing superiority. While the British were still hand-assembling engines using outdated tools in brick factories, Honda utilized massive, automated assembly lines. However, Honda was still slightly cautious. They were not entirely sure if the American public would actually buy a four-cylinder motorcycle. Therefore, instead of investing millions into expensive permanent die-cast molds for the engine blocks, Honda chose to use rough sand-cast molds for the very first production run. They produced exactly 7,414 of these early sandcast models before they realized that the demand was apocalyptic and permanently switched to massive die-cast manufacturing. Today, those early sandcast models are the holy grail of motorcycle collectors, commanding astronomical prices. When the CB750 finally hit American dealership showroom floors, total, uncontrollable chaos ensued. Dealerships simply could not keep the crates in stock. Customers were literally lining up outside the glass doors before the shops opened, standing with thick stacks of cash in hand, aggressively bidding against each other just for the privilege of acquiring the machine. The American public had never seen anything like it. It was the total, undeniable birth of the modern superbike. The British motorcycle industry collapsed almost overnight. It was a brutal financial massacre. Why would any rational, hard-working consumer walk into a Triumph or Norton dealership and pay more of their hard-earned money for a motorcycle that vibrated their hands numb, leaked oil all over their driveway, and required constant, expensive mechanical rebuilding when they could walk into a brightly lit Honda dealership and buy a space-age four-cylinder rocket ship that ran flawlessly for 50,000 miles with zero maintenance? They didn't. British sales plummeted instantly. Historic factories shuttered their doors forever. And the once mighty global empire of the British twin was permanently buried by ruthless Japanese precision. The British died. But what happened in the boardrooms of Japan was even more dramatic. The release of the CB750 triggered a massive wave of sheer panic among Honda's direct competitors. Number one on the casualty list was Kawasaki. Kawasaki's secret weapon ruined. While Honda was secretly developing Project 300, their fierce domestic rival, Kawasaki, was secretly developing their own massive industry-killing weapon. Kawasaki engineers had recognized the exact same lucrative gap in the American performance market. They were working night and day on a highly classified internal project codenamed NYS, which stood for New York Steak. It was designed to be a massive, imposing 750cc four-cylinder superbike that would cross the ocean and totally conquer America. Led by their brilliant engineer Yoichi Inamura, Kawasaki was mere months away from finalizing their New York Steak design. They had even sent prototype models to the Mojave Desert in America for secret, high-speed highway testing. They believed they were about to shock the entire world. Then, Honda shockingly unveiled the fully finished, production-ready CB750 at the Tokyo Motor Show. The Kawasaki executives and engineers were completely devastated. Their hearts sank. Honda had beaten them to the punch by a matter of months. If Kawasaki released their 750cc machine now, the public would view them as nothing more than cheap, pathetic imitators. They would be relegated to second place in a ruthless performance market that only remembers the winner. Kawasaki made a brutal, incredibly risky, and massively expensive executive decision. They scrapped the entire New York Steak project. They threw millions of dollars of research and development directly into the garbage. They sent their exhausted engineers back to the drawing board and demanded that they build something even bigger, even faster, and even more terrifying than the new Honda. It took Kawasaki 4 agonizing years of playing desperate catch-up. During those 4 long years, Honda had free reign over the entire global market, selling hundreds of thousands of CB750s and establishing total, uncontested market dominance. Finally, in 1973, Kawasaki unleashed their massive revenge upon the world, the legendary Kawasaki Z1. To thoroughly beat the Honda, Kawasaki had to radically increase their engine displacement to an unheard of 903cc, and they utilized dual overhead camshafts, DOHC, instead of Honda's single cam. Kawasaki successfully created the very first true Japanese hyperbike. The resulting rivalry between the Honda CB and the Kawasaki Z1 officially sparked the greatest, most violent horsepower war in automotive history. But Kawasaki was forced to react, forced to completely redesign their engines, and forced to completely alter their entire corporate strategy, solely because Soichiro Honda moved first and struck the hardest. Kawasaki pivoted to a bigger four-stroke, but Yamaha and Suzuki were caught completely off guard, entirely invested in the wrong engine technology. Their panic was palpable. Yamaha and Suzuki's two-stroke panic. In 1969, the other two Japanese giants, Yamaha and Suzuki, did not possess the massive four-stroke engineering infrastructure of Honda. They were almost entirely, exclusively focused on two-stroke engine technology. Two-stroke engines were incredibly fast, mechanically simple, lightweight, and aggressive. But they were also incredibly loud. They burned oil, they produced thick clouds of blue smoke, and they possessed a very narrow, high-revving power band that made them difficult and jerky to ride smoothly in heavy city traffic. When the incredibly smooth, highly refined, sophisticated four-stroke Honda CB750 hit the market, it instantly made every two-stroke street bike feel primitive, dirty, and unrefined by comparison. Consumers wanted the deep, throaty, sophisticated rumble of a four-stroke inline-four, not the high-pitched, smoky chainsaw scream of a massive two-stroke. Suzuki panicked completely. They desperately needed a large displacement flagship to compete with the Honda for showroom dominance. In 1971, they released the Suzuki GT750, affectionately known by riders as the Water Buffalo. It was a massive, highly complex, liquid-cooled 738cc two-stroke inline triple. It was a fascinating piece of engineering, but it was incredibly heavy, overly complex, and still suffered from the inherent emissions and heavy fuel consumption flaws of two-stroke design, right as the global fuel crisis was looming. Yamaha also scrambled desperately to answer the Honda threat. They rapidly engineered and released the Yamaha TX750 parallel twin. It was an absolute mechanical disaster. To counteract the heavy vibrations of the large twin-cylinder engine, Yamaha invented an omni-phase balancing system involving massive counter-rotating balance shafts sitting low in the oil pan. At highway speeds, these heavy shafts literally whipped the hot engine oil into a thick, destructive foam. The oil pump could not pump aerated foam, leading to catastrophic engine seizures, ruined camshafts, and a completely shattered brand reputation. Both Yamaha and Suzuki quickly, painfully realized that heavy two-strokes and vibrating parallel twins could absolutely not compete with the supremacy and refinement of the Honda inline-four. The CB750 forced the entire Japanese motorcycle industry to completely restructure their multi-million-dollar research and development departments. Suzuki eventually had to abandon their massive two-strokes entirely and dedicate years to developing the legendary GS series of four-stroke inline-fours. Yamaha had to pivot violently, eventually developing their own multi-cylinder four-strokes, like the heavy XS750 triple. Honda did not just beat the competition in a sales race, they dictated the exact architectural blueprint that every single manufacturer on Earth was forced to copy if they wanted to survive the coming decade. This architectural blueprint became the foundation of modern motorcycling. The echoes of the CB750 are still heard in every single superbike manufactured today. Let us examine the immortal legacy, the birth of the UJM in the modern era, because Kawasaki, Suzuki, and Yamaha were all forced to meticulously copy Honda's inline-four architecture just to stay relevant in the American market. They inadvertently created a brand new, globally recognized category of motorcycle. The automotive press officially coined the term the UJM, the Universal Japanese Motorcycle. Throughout the entire 1970s and early 1980s, the UJM dominated the globe utterly. Whether you bought a Honda, a Kawasaki, a Suzuki, or a Yamaha, they all essentially followed the exact same brilliant blueprint established by Honda in 1969. An air-cooled transverse inline-four engine, a tubular steel dual cradle frame, a front hydraulic disc brake, a flat dual seat, and a comfortable, upright riding position. The UJM became the default, global standard for what a motorcycle was supposed to look like and how it was supposed to perform. But the massive, echoing legacy of the Honda CB750 extends far, far beyond the 1970s. It established the transverse inline-four as the single, undisputed, optimal engine configuration for high-performance track-dominating motorcycles. Look at the modern, hyper-advanced sport bike market today. Look at the current Honda CBR 1000RR Fireblade producing over 200 horsepower. Look at the World Superbike Championship-winning Kawasaki ZX-10R. Look at the exotic Yamaha YZF-R1. Look at the legendary Suzuki GSX-Air 1000. While these modern marvels now feature advanced liquid cooling, lightweight titanium valves, complex computer-controlled electronic fuel injection, and 6-axis inertial measurement units, the fundamental core mechanical architecture, a transverse inline-four engine mounted sideways inside a twin-spar frame, is exactly the same configuration engineered by those 20 desperate, exhausted Honda engineers in just 6 months back in 1968. The Honda CB750 is not just a beautiful classic motorcycle that you admire at a vintage car show. It is the absolute genesis point of modern performance. It is the mechanical Big Bang. It irrevocably proved to the entire world that extreme terrifying speed, flawless, leak-free reliability, and highly accessible, affordable pricing could flawlessly coexist in one single, mass-produced machine. If this video into the intense history of the original superbike shocked you or changed your perspective on automotive engineering, hit that subscribe button, click the like button, and leave a comment below telling me your absolute favorite classic motorcycle of all time. Stay prepared, respect the mechanics, and I will catch you in the next analytical breakdown.